Boom.
What's up, Helios Sun? Anybody who's listening to this is Trevor Gosar, the host of the Power Partner Podcast. I have the owners of Enlight Homes on the podcast today with a little bit of a surprise. Drew?
Good morning, America. My name is Drew Reeves. I'm here with my partner, Nicholas Keeney. We are of Enlight Energy. We're here on the Power Partner Podcast, the Triple P, if you couldn't put that together, with your best host, Mr. Trevor. There's a lot of pressure on this one. Gosar.
Oh, man. Well, it's good to have you two on there. As you can tell in the podcast today, and anybody who's watching, it's going to be entertaining, to say the least. So, first question I have to ask. I want to jump right into the meat of it. Okay?
Yep.
Nick, is this how Drew is every single day?
Oh, yeah.
What's it like being a partner with Drew Reeves?
I'm losing hair pretty fast. It's cool. But yeah, that is something that he's like every day.
Every day. Every day. Does it ever get old?
Nope. Yeah.
The truth comes out. The truth
It's old
comes
pretty
out.
fast. Then the whole office starts doing it, and then you're like, all right, Drew, what the hell, man?
So we're going to switch this now.
Yeah.
Is this like how it is every single day with Nick?
No, Nick's actually a very funny guy. He's like, if you guys watch basketball, he's like the Kawhi Leonard of Solar. He's a very funny guy when you get to meet him. But until then, we even each other out.
You call it the peanut butter and the jam, right?
Yeah, the peanut butter and the jam, the jelly.
Yeah, who's the peanut butter?
Me, of course.
Okay. And the jelly? Jam?
That's.
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no watch, sorry. Good morning, America, again.
All right. Well, guys, today we do have the owners of Enlight Home who are on the podcast with us. Super grateful to have them on. So, guys, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're excited to jump in. What's that?
Enlight Energy, but
Enlight Energy. Excuse me.
it's okay. Trevin Grozer.
Trevin Gozer. There you go. Man, we're all over the place.
Yeah, I feel
right?
it.
But today we've got some good content we got to go over. So just a little intro. Nick and Drew are two individuals who have ran and built multiple sales teams, right? So right now they do have a great sales team that's functioning, but they've had ones in the past that they've built from scratch. And so today we're going to talk a lot about that, right?
Cool.
But guys, if you had to put one thing, an attribute, a characteristic, or an action item that you had to do that's been consistent through all the teams you've built, what has that been? What's it take to get to that point where you guys are today, where you have a full functioning team?
I don't know if you could narrow it down to one thing, because there's a gang of things that goes into it. But I would say probably, we say this all the time, positive attitude, student mentality, great work ethic. But I think the biggest driving force is just the environment that you bring, the culture that you provide, and the culture that you really want, and have everybody buy into that culture. I think has been what's attributed, at least for me.
That's cool. What about for you, Nick?
I think, like you said, it's not really one thing. It's more for the student mentality, positive attitude, and the work ethic. Of course, we got to have it first, but I think experience with trial and error. Big thing for us, but I think, like we said, student mentality, positive attitude, great work ethics. We're still learning, we're still adapting, we're always learning. But for them to come in and to build a good sales team, everyone has to have those three qualities. If they don't, it's probably not going to go too well.
That's awesome. I know the teams I built in the past, the positive energy, the culture, things that you mentioned buying in. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute, because that was super important that I noticed. I was a part of a team initially when I got into solar that was not bought in, at all, right? Lots of turnover. Weird sales meetings, a weird energy, it was wacky, and a lot of unclosed deals, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get your guys and gals to buy in to your culture, to your values, to things you stand for?
Show, teach, never tell. So showing I'd say your first people, so the people that first come in, your first wave, you show them great success and you teach them how to have the same success that you've demonstrated. And as soon as they buy in, they become your core. So automatically people attract to energy. So if your core is bought in, everybody else is just going to buy into your core. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's how you get people to buy in. Is you just got to build the core first, and once you have a core.
So what is that core though? How do you get, Nick? How do you build the core that you're talking about, Drew?
Do you want the brutally honest way, or do you want the?
Go for it.
So I mean, the way that we build it, it's not necessarily everybody can't fit in, but we're really conscious on who we bring in. The student, like we said, student mentality, positive attitude, the work ethic has to be there. Some people have 2 out of the 3, some people have 1 out of the 3, but it's taking the understanding, knowing that when you're building, of course, like you said, you want to show them success off the beginning. And they have to see the success, because it doesn't matter what you tell them. Because if you can tell them, yeah, we go out and we have a lot of success, we do deals, we go out, we close whatever it is. If they don't see it, it's going to be a little bit different. Just like when you buy stuff at a store, you check the price tag before you go to the register. But besides buying in, it's just making sure that the guys that aren't bought in, worst case scenario, you give them a chance, but it's the guys that you keep in there, the guys that you're going to roll with.
Dude, this is seriously, okay, so this is one of those concepts that I feel like so many people have a hard time grabbing. We were talking about this before. Sales guys struggle to say no. They think because they're on the sales side, that they're the ones that have to say yes every time the customer says something, right? So, hey, come meet with me in a week. Yes, I can do that, right? Yeah. No, that's not a part. Like meeting in a week is you can say no. You can hold back, right?
Yeah.
Same thing on the management side. I see guys that come in brand new and they say yes to everybody and anybody who's willing to, like, oh, you got 2 arms and a couple legs and you're willing to knock doors. Okay, let's go, right?
Yeah.
And you want to give them a shot, but like, how have you guys learned that lesson to say no? And would you agree with that concept of like you got to be able to learn to say no?
100%, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have an office of 40 people. If you have 40 great people and 1 cancer spreads.
Yeah.
1 cancer can spread, and it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, especially if you're in the management position or in the ownership position, you're not going to hear a lot of the things that most guys talk about when you're not there. You're going to see the side of them that most people, like, you're going to see, as the boss. They're not going to show you the true colors. So when you have that 1 cancer, when they're not around you, it's like we always say, act like you have a camera on you. Live your life like you have someone watching you at all times. So like when they're not around and when you're not around, that cancer can spread. So it doesn't matter how great of a sales team you have, it can all come crashing down with that 1 cancer. So it's just from experience of seeing what happens when, I guess, you have that person that just doesn't have the drive, doesn't have the student mentality, doesn't have the positive attitude. One of those things can affect the rest of the office, and that's where you get slumps from. That's where you're like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. I'm not doing sales. We know why it's doing sales, because the aptitude of your office is only from the bottom guy to the very top guy, and if that's a huge gap, you're not going to go very far.
Yeah.
We can't have that huge gap. The top guy has to be maybe probably a few deals away, or how long does it take us to get that bottom guy to the top guy? And if you take too long, it's an effort thing.
Dude, so here's a question that I have in lines with that, because I feel like we're jumping in quick. This is good. This is really good.
The nitty-gritty already.
Yeah, we're getting deep real quick. This is good. Because I know my like thoughts on this, but Drew, like, how much time and attention do you focus on those that are at the bottom? Like,
I would say, they say you're only as strong as your weakest link, so I guess I've always been a believer in that. But you only go as far as someone's allowing themselves to go. So the minute that you see that the energy or the effort that you're putting isn't being reciprocated, then it's time for you to start pulling back. And once you see, like, your lessons that you've implied and, I guess you say applied to other people have worked and shown success, and for some reason it's not clicking with this guy, you start looking at their effort. So once again, I would say it's once you see the effort not being reciprocated.
I think sales is something that, it's not like art, right? It's not that's something that you're just born with and naturally, like, you do, and you don't know how you did it. Sales is something that you can teach someone to do over and over again, and the big thing that I look at is just effort. Yeah. So if you don't have the sales, it's fine. At the very bottom, I'm going to look at the effort you have, because if you're going out there every single day, putting your nose into the work and hitting doors and doing everything you're supposed to do, but the results don't get there, then it's where we look at it ourselves, to where it's not really a sales thing, because if we're giving him the right coaching and he has the effort there, it's our fault. It's we don't look at it as there, because if the effort's there, okay, but if we see you at the bottom of the list and the effort's not there,
they're not reciprocating. Right?
You're not reciprocating it. So it hurts when you have people coming in, not only for the people that are in the office, but people that come into the office after, the guys that you recruit after, and they look around the room, whether it's rankings or just for me in a competitive environment, just in sales, you look around and it's like, okay, who's the top guy? That's the guy that I want to go after. So, but then when you come in and you have the top guy, but then you look around and it's like, okay, this guy is taking 3 months and hasn't had a deal in like 2 weeks. What is this guy doing? And, he doesn't really care too much. So it's like the new guys coming in, they're going to see that, and that, like we said, that 1 cancer can spread. So that either makes it okay for them to do that and take 3 months to kind of have that.
Yeah, they say that it's mindset. Justification.
It's just justification. Oh, okay, I can do that too. But the top guy, eventually I'll get to there. But I guess that was a step in the process. And for us, we don't want new guys to see that. When we bring new guys in, at the end of the day, they're seeing the culture that we built. They're seeing the guys under us, the sales team, whatever it is. If we have the 1 weak link and he's not giving 100% effort, that gives the new guys coming in a different mindset. You can't have success here without effort, especially if you've never done sales before.
Yeah.
We have a great product, but if you've never done sales before, you're not going to have success here if you don't put the work in, because you need experience.
Dude, I've learned like over my years in sales that like those low hangers, like the ones that are like bottom producers, right?
Yeah.
Those are for some reason the ones that people notice, right? And they hold on to, right? And it's like it doesn't take very many of them to like somebody takes 4 months to get through, training, and a new guy comes in and yeah, he sees the guy that took 2 weeks and the guy that took, a week and a guy that took a month, and like these guys that did quick. But he's focusing on that one that took 6 months, and he's like, like it's justification.
Yeah, it's okay if it takes me a little bit longer, because it's normal.
Those were just out of
Yeah. I mean, granted, some people might get offended, but we're just naturally lazy. Yeah. So, like, if what's easier for me to reproduce? Somebody that knocks out 50 doors, 3 loops a day, or the dude that's been here for 3 months and hits 20 doors maybe one loop a day. You know what I mean? So it's just we're naturally lazy, so we're going to gravitate to whatever is easier.
The worst part too is when you have the guys that don't put the effort in that still technically have success, and then it makes it unrealistic for the new guys too.
Yeah.
So it's also when you have that. I just don't like having that big gap from the bottom guy to the top guy, because there's just so many variables, and it's like most people that stay at the bottom, it's an effort thing. Yeah. Especially when you're selling something that's saving people money.
Yeah.
At that point, it's just an effort thing, because there's someone out there in the neighborhood that wants to save money.
Yeah.
I'd hope so. I mean, if not, whatever you're doing, I want to do.
Yeah.
So so for you guys then, I'm curious, what was your learning curve like? What did you, when you guys first got into solar, because you've been selling solar for how long now?
A few years.
Yeah. Same?
Yeah.
For Nick? Okay. So Nick, like, what was your learning curve like? And then we'll go to you, Drew.
I picked it up pretty fast because I know everyone talks about it. I was in the fight or flight mode. I was on the verge of getting evicted. There's a bunch of stuff coming in. Had the opportunity. Yeah, it was just had the opportunity to see where most people know Sam. He was my leader.
Yeah.
So he was my leader at one point, but it was shout out to Sam. But he was my leader at one point, but it was just put yourself in fight or flight mode, because at the end of the day, I have rent to pay next week. My roommate dipped out on me, so I had to figure this stuff out. And it was just one of those things. I picked it up really fast. My second day in the field, I was getting bills by myself. I forced them, because at the end of the day, the first 2 days I was training, and it was like, okay, I can see it, but the only way personally that I learned is by falling on my face. And I wasn't scared to do that, because the worst thing I'm going to do is end up in a car, sleeping in my car.
Dude, Rex and I talk about this so often that it's like guys will come in, new reps will come in and be like, hey, I want 2 weeks of training. Mm-hmm. Right, and they're like begging for this classroom time, and it's like, look, you could have 2 weeks of training,
mm-hmm.
and I could put you next to somebody who has 2 days of training, and the second you both go hit the field, you're going to come back with the same questions.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter, because when you get in front of the customer, now you really experience
completely different,
right?
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I picked it up fast, started closing my own deals within 2 weeks, and from then it was about a deal or two a week.
Good for you.
Then on.
Good for you. What about you, Drew? Is that any different?
I don't have the same feel-good story as this guy for sure. I'm not like dude, you made it, now you're here. No, it's like I came from sales, so like I've always sold throughout my life, whether it be selling brownies to kids in elementary school, to selling websites, to selling at an entertainment book door to door. It's like I've always sold, so the whole sales aspect wasn't hard as far as that learning curve.
Yeah.
I would say just more so I've done shady sales, so the learning curve on like believing in that this is a clean sale took me a lot longer. It took me a whole month
really
to actually want to jump into solar. It took him. He hopped on before I did, and it took him a month. It took him a month.
I sold him though. Seller be sold.
Yeah, there you go. Now we're here. So I guess my learning curve was a lot faster thanks to Nick, because he was he brought me on, and B, this dude that's all he would talk about was solar this, solar that.
Yeah.
So
I think anybody that knows us knows that it's hard for me not to talk about work, but it also helps. We'd finish the field. There'd be days where we're knocking till, and this was in Arizona, we'd knock till like 9 o'clock. Yeah. We'd be out there from 2:30 till 9 o'clock, because at the end of the day, it's like the money that we're making. I go, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
But we also, when we came home, it got to the point where his girlfriend would get mad at us, because we'd be at the house going over a presentation and talking about solar for like 3 hours. Ex-girlfriend. But yeah, she would get mad all the time, because it's like we'd be talking about work, but at the end of the day, it was like we started seeing the results from it, And I think that's why we grew so fast into the industry and had a lot of success, was because
I think we're just eager. It's the first to hit 10,000 hours. So I think it was never the money that really motivated us to go. It was just we're so eager to hit the 10,000 hours to become that professional that the more hours, like you're talking about, the more hours you experience out there, the faster you get to being that.
Dude, that's a good sign right there. When I see a new rep who comes on board and like is putting in that time and attention not cutting corners, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it gets dark at 8 o'clock, but they're staying out till 9.
Yeah.
That's a really good sign.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. They understand at that point that it's like,
They're gonna have to make me leave this place before I leave.
bingo,
Yeah.
dude. That's cool. That's really, really cool. So, okay, well, I have to ask then, Drew.
Yeah.
Since it took you a month, what were your thoughts when you found out that he was knocking doors for work?
No, so it wasn't even the door knocking. It wasn't okay. I'm gonna lie. Okay, so I knocked doors like when I was a kid.
Did you really?
Yeah, so I sold an entertainment book. I don't know if you know the entertainment book. It's a coupon book. I don't know if they have it out here. So we
No
sold
way.
this thing in Hawaii. It's called the Aloha Diners Club book. Shout out to Aloha Diners Club book. It's $21 a book. Go and get yours. If you're going island to island, let me know. I can get you a discount. But anyway, sorry. So I sold this Aloha Diners Club book door to door, and what it was is like you get coupons to like helicopter tours. You get a coupon to dinner. Like it was the whole experience.
Yeah.
So like the door knocking, I never had a problem with. It was just like the pay. I'm gonna be honest.
Really, the pay.
So I've worked sales where it was like when your paycheck comes in, it was like you're going to war with all of payroll to get paid what you're supposed to pay.
Yeah.
So like to see him actually get paid what he's supposed to was like that's what
He was shocked.
That's what took me forever. It wasn't so much the concept.
So the door knocking was not an issue.
No, it was never the door
no,
knocking.
Was the door knocking for you an issue? Like when you first like started looking at it and you because I know when Sam talked to you, right, as your manager, were you like, wait, I'm a little skeptical because it's door to door?
No, he was just like, it's door to door. You talk to him. I was like, cool.
Okay,
Alright.
good.
At the end of the day, it wasn't
Beggars
really.
can't be choosers.
Yeah, it's
Bingo.
knocking doors. I think people get scared of it most times because one, it's a thing that most people don't do. They kind of feel it archaic, the technology coming out here and stuff like that. But I think anybody that's done phone sales or anything else, if someone comes to your door and you believe in your product, like it's really up to you. I think it's more of a mental game about door knocking than not, because you talk to people every day. I talk to you. I talk to random people. We talk to people at the counter. The only difference is that he's sitting at his home, not expecting me there.
I remember
That's really the only. He doesn't expect me there, so I'm gonna go knock on his door. And be like, hey, how's it going?
I still remember the first time. I've told this story before, but like I remember the first time somebody knocked on our home door, like when I was in high school, and my mom answers the door during dinner, and these two girls are standing there, and the one is like fumbling over her words, and the other one is like trying to step in and help, and she's fumbling over her words even worse, right? And I literally the thought crossed my mind. I feel guilty about this to this day. Crossed my mind. I was like, they have hit rock bottom. Like they could not even get a real job, and so they chose to go knock doors, right? And then fast forward 3 years.
Yeah, that kind of helped too. I was kind of at rock bottom.
See, right?
Kind of helped.
But then I go out and I knock, and I'm out in Nebraska and Wyoming, and literally I'm shoulder to shoulder with guys that are making $200,000-$300,000, and I'm like, dude, this is not rock bottom at all.
Yeah.
You shovel poop to do that. Most people would.
Dude.
I would shovel poop with my hands if you offered me that. Like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, and then now being in the industry for 7 years, I'm looking at it going, dude, I know guys that if without this industry would be nowhere near where they are, not even just professionally or with finances, but as a human being, right?
Yeah.
Like as a husband, a father, like a brother, a son, whatever. It's like, or even a mother and wife. It's like, dude, you learn attributes, you learn ways to act, how to communicate with people.
Yep.
Not like any other business.
Yeah.
That's definitely true.
The first thing that I did after the interview, once I figured out, was door knocking. I looked at people that did prior door knocking.
Did you?
And if you actually Google it, look at the list of how many people actually knock doors, because that was part of my pitch to sell this guy on knocking doors.
Really?
I was like, dude, Jamie Foxx did it. Like all these guys, Mark Cuban, all these guys are talking about door knocking. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like everyone started from door knocking because it's my favorite meeting that we've ever ran. I know I told you about this last week. It's just the 10 things that door knocking teaches you.
Yeah.
It's teaches you a lot. It's like anything in life. Most things in life are negative more than positive. If you look at your whole lifespan from when you start to finish, you're gonna remember a lot more of the negative things than the positive stuff.
Absolutely.
So it's like when everything's done and said, it's like, most people are just so stuck on the negative stuff, and you get more negative, and then positive comes. You're like, oh, but I don't know. Door knocking for me it was always. I'd rather talk to somebody over face to face than a phone.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
I'm the same way, dude.
Face to face over a phone, because like you can't see my great smile over the phone.
I already told you where we're at. Yeah.
We can't shake your hand. We can't do anything over the phone. It's just hang up. All right.
I thought we couldn't do that in person. Shake hands.
Not when we can. I've warned you. If you put the hand out, I'm going to start doing it from now on. So I've warned you guys.
Yeah. Inside joke. When you get the chance to ask Nick about why he will or will not shake your hand.
To all you salesmen out there that shake hands, I envy you.
The grass is not always greener on the other side, Nick.
We can water it.
It might,
if you blow on it, it'll start to drip.
it'll drip if I just leave it there for a little
All right. Well, let's take a shift, Kay. Let's talk recruiting for just a minute. You guys have a unique recruiting process, interview process.
Yep.
Okay, would you mind walking us through, like, what do you guys do with interviews before somebody can be hired?
Run them through the ringer.
Yeah.
That's like Solar Olympics. No, I think just in general, because of the way that we built the office and the way that we build the sales team and the culture, it's the main guys that, of course, there's us as the managers right now until we get somebody in that place.
Of course.
But everything trickles down, right? So we're big on leadership. We're teaching guys eventually that want to get into the sales roles, different things. So the first person that they sit with is, of course, is either me and Drew. We always go through the first interview because that's where we really talk about the company, the kind of our vision, what we want to do there. We don't really necessarily get into the specifics of money or anything like that. That's really just a one-on-one. Just like we go into the appointment, the first 15 minutes, it's all building rapport. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have a good rapport, if I don't have a good enough rapport when you came into us and the moment that you saw us, you're going to get the standard. They're going to say whatever they can to get the job. And that's I think that was the most frustrating thing to me in the beginning when I started doing interviews. It's like, dude, I don't want to hear that. I want to talk to you. Yeah. So I think the first interview was cool to really just kind of open them up and really see if it's going to be a good fit. And then the next step for that is deciding, okay, who is this guy going to thrive off of? Whose team can we put him on that's going to get him, I guess, the best results, and they're going to click a little bit more because everyone's team, I think from what we've seen before, everyone's team kind of had like their own, not stigma, but personalities to it. Everyone's going to sell differently. Some people are going to have different personalities, but the next step after that, the second interview, goes to the rep. The person that's going to be taking him on, training him all the way through, because that's going to be a big thing for growth, because that guy that he's bringing onto his team in the second interview is going to help him get and grow into the company. To be able to train other people. So it's like that guy has to be willing to, just like you said before, people have to be able to say yes or no. You still have guys that come into the second interview, it's like, oh yeah, I think he's gonna be good. He's nice, he's soft spoken, but I think he's gonna be good.
They're like hoping. So
you can tell me straight up.
That's great.
At the end of the day, there's somebody else that's gonna be coming through the store. Will he do good on your team or not?
Yeah.
Do you think he's someone that you're going to be wanting to spend time with, and are you going to put the work in to help him get to where he's going to be? Because he's going to need to do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
So the second interview is with the rep. They really get to just have a one-on-one with them, and we tell them to ask them any questions about the job. You know, it's anything that you can talk about, and that's when they cover the pay and everything that we talk about of just.
So the second interview is when the pay comes in.
Yep. Second
interview. It's not even with you guys. No. It's with one of the guys on the team.
Yep. Yeah. So it starts on the phone. We sell them on the phone on why us.
Yeah.
Because most times it's a cold call, so they're not even applying
or
to
they're
us.
On Indeed, and it's just they're applying to.
You guys are big on cold calling. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So we'll cold call them and pull the resume, and they're like, "Who's this?" Whatever. But we sell them on the phone. Bring them into the first interview. It's kind of like the same thing with Solar. You sell them on getting the bill and then setting the appointment. So that's what we do. We set the appointment for their interview, and then interview, we sell them again.
Dude, recruiting is sales.
Yeah, it is. It's 100%.
It's like we're pretty much the opener for the second guy. You know, we treat it as I'm going to get as much information about this guy as possible, see what his background is, what his why is, what his goals are, how driven that person is. My biggest thing is I like competitive people. So it's just kind of what your background is, your family, and then it's just we kind of siphon through. Of course, there's guys were like, yeah, he's not going to do well here, but guys that were like, okay, I think you can do on this team. And then we pass through the second one, and the second one's where they go over pretty much the day-to-day, the actual job-specific stuff, because at that point, we want them to come back for the second interview. So we do it in the morning, then we make them leave. It's kind of weird, but we make them leave and come back for like 2 to 3 hours. Then we have them come back just to build their interest. You know, we're going to see if they're interested because they're going to come
see
back
if they actually
3 times.
Get some skin in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
How much interest do you really have? And then at the end of the day, after the second interview, they're all said and done. The third one's where we make the final decision. We talk with the rep, and then we decide if that person is going to be a good fit for the office or if it's next guy up.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay, so you guys, is that 2-3 interviews?
Yep.
That you guys do?
3 kind of 4.
3 kind of 4.
Sometimes 4.
3 kind of 4.
Yeah.
Which
if you count the phone screening, because there's a lot of people that go on and just like, hey, can I know, is it door knocking?
Yeah,
are you
commission
based?
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And then you hear the click.
Well, sometimes you'll deflect. So you got to fill it out. And you'll just deflect. Oh, I'm recruiting for a bunch of different positions. The manager will go over with that.
I don't know anything specific. Our manager's actually going to cover it because at the end of the day, I'd rather talk to you face to face.
Oh, of course. It's way better face to face. Same reason we knock doors.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
It's important. Right?
It's funny. Sorry to get a little off topic here, but people will be like, "Oh, I love the environment. The manager, Nick, I think his name was. He came and fist bumped me. So this is like a fist bumping community." I'm like, sure, yeah. He's like, you guys are so cool, so laid back. Like, fist bump. So I'm like, all right.
yeah. Hey, next time you talk to him, go ahead and put his.
Give him a good one. Give him a nice strong one.
No, they say that, but it's like I let them
here's
know.
a towel.
Enjoy.
I tell people at least.
Dude,
Yeah,
I appreciate you taking some grief once in a while. It's good.
Yeah. That's all right. It's gonna be a payback when
We
you
say it 'cause we love
put
you.
your hand out and start shaking it.
Hey, dude, I still put my hand out.
You did it last night. Now you didn't do it today.
Did I not? Oh, I went for the knuckles.
Yeah, because last night was
smart man.
Oh,
Dude,
come on.
come on. I will.
It's good.
And that's the
Slip right
podcast.
Where's the good night, America?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Okay, so you guys do the what do you guys look for in recruits? Because at the beginning of this, we were talking about how people that can be cancer, it can be detrimental to a culture, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they come in and they don't want to reciprocate. But I'm guessing you guys weed out a chunk of those through the 4 interviews because you make it difficult to get on the team.
To be honest, there's not. I don't think there's the main thing that we look for: the student mentality, positive attitude, great work ethic. So we're always looking for evidence in your past where you had
student mentality, positive attitude, and great work ethic.
Yeah.
That's
Love
the
it.
3 factors that.
But you talked about competition. Competitive, like how do you find out if somebody's competitive when you're talking
just
to
ask about the background? You know, what sports did you play? Your brothers and sisters? Do you guys like play video games a lot? Like just kind of the background on them, because a lot of times, whether it's the student mentality, like bringing up times in life, you know, where you had to be a student where you weren't necessarily the person that knew everything.
Yeah.
How fast did it take you to pick it up? You know, that was great. Like there's different segues into it, but. For me, competitiveness, it's usually they have a fire. You know, if you can kind of get them going, of whether it's talking about sports or high school, if they get passionate about what they're talking about, you can tell they're competitive. But if they're just kind of like, yeah, it's this and there, it's just words. You never take words for face value.
Do you remember, Nick, when you and I first had breakfast together when we talked about Helios?
For like 5 minutes.
Yeah, like a quick 5 minute. Okay. So I don't know if you remember that we spoke about Hawaii just a little bit then. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about that conversation?
Not really.
Okay. So
that was a stressful morning.
That was, I know. Nick was running like an hour and a half late for a breakfast that was at like 10 o'clock in the morning. He just woke up late or something.
We can give the real reason.
I do want to know the real reason afterwards.
I was still with another company.
Why I understand that part. Because we were it was an interview. We were literally getting to know you. We were networking. But so you probably don't remember this, but I talked about Kahuku and I made some statements about high school sports over in Hawaii. Okay, and you're kind of like biting your tongue, right? So here's this. I do this often. Anybody who's interviewed with me, they may not recognize it, and if you have, you'll probably go back, think about your interview. I will make some type of statement to see if it fires people up, because I want somebody to have an opinion. Right? If I say, dude, I live near Kahuku, they're like absolutely the best football team in Hawaii, and Nick kind of sits back and he's like, well, when did you live there?
Who said that? Yeah.
Where did you hear that? You ever seen him play before? like he starts like going into like whoa, like and I that's how I personally, this is my personal thing. That's how I understand. If somebody has an opinion, I want my team to have an opinion, and I want them to be competitive. And that right there could be it could be freaking about video games,
anything,
right?
If
it doesn't
you
matter.
have a passion behind it, because we can create the passion. I think we're really good at motivating, strategizing, and doing that thing. I think that's just a talent me and Drew have, but we can't teach it to you. That's the one thing. You know, you got to kind of have it. We got to be able to activate it, and I think that's what we look for. And just like you said,
so don't teach it, activate it. That's cool.
Yeah, I think because everyone, you have it or you don't. Certain things you'll have it for other, like whether it's sports, whatever it is, you're competitive in something. There's something that motivates you every single day. So it's like we just got to find what activates it and where it is.
That's cool.
I think that's the biggest thing for us. But I think the double-edged sword for everyone, no matter how great you recruit, the moment they get into the office is a whole different ballgame.
Okay, so what does that process look like for you guys? When you've recruited somebody, it's their first day in the office. Are you setting expectations with them that first day? What does it look like?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it's just like sales. You got to frame it. Perfect. So, with this, you set the level of expectation. This is what I expect out of you. You give 100, I give 100, you give 90, I'm going to give 70. You know,
we call it the 50-50 talk. So, and this is what the team leads will do with their guy. They come in with the new guy. It's day one. We usually start meetings at 12, so they're at 11, 10:30, whatever it is. Yeah. And it's just, it's the 50-50 talk. You know, do I have permission to tell you when you're doing everything right? Of course. Do I have the permission to tell you when you're doing things wrong? Yeah. And it's like we do a lot of recognition. We're going to be in front of the room. It's setting the standard of what it's going to be. This is what this week's going to look like. We go by the rules of threes, 3 days to really get things going, just like mentally, 3 weeks to get into a good roll to where you're closing, and then 3 months you're going to be closing at a decently high level. Then everything else after there is growth. So it's like we call it the rule of threes, but it's just expectations, like you said in the beginning. We can set the expectations, but at the end of the day, when we set the expectations, after that, that's when you really start seeing who's going to be serious or not. Yeah. I think even after you hire somebody, it doesn't just stop there. You know, you're always going to look at them. And for me personally, I can tell if someone's going to have success usually within the first day of just being in the office or the first week.
You can see their commitment level.
Yeah, it's just the commitment and effort. And sales is something you can teach anybody. And you can persuade anybody, so it's just the effort that you can't really teach somebody.
I like that a lot. Drew, you got anything out of that?
No, he pretty much hit it on the head. I mean, really, you kind of know. I mean, even in the interviews, you kind of know how far they're going to go. When you bring on a guy, we label them 110, 210, 310, 410, and it's their level of desirability with us. And so you can tell when a guy's like a 210, and you're like, you bring him on, you're like, he'll be a great opener, but past that, it's like...
He's not going to be a great closer.
But there's also certain people that you see that it's like, dude, that guy's got a lot going on, but put that person in the right environment, could be game over.
Lights out.
So and I think that's where you got to kind of find a line where it's like, okay, do we push the boundaries a little bit because this guy can have success and maybe he just didn't have the right environment before. And the reason I think I'm passionate more about that because I was one of those guys.
Yep.
I don't think anyone would have thought we'd be in this position in the time that we did and just what we did. If you met me 3 years ago, you probably wouldn't have said the same thing.
It's crazy.
But
it's cool. It's really cool.
So it's like seeing that kind of stuff, and when you put someone in the right environment and they have the right passion about things and just kind of the background, it's like people want to change. You know, it's just they haven't seen anything better. It's like just in life, you kind of get stuck to the standard and you see more, and it's like, oh crap, it's attainable. Yeah. The only thing that's holding that back is me. So it's like, oh, okay. So you put somebody in the right environment, I think anybody can change. Yeah. You know, and thrive.
You guys have a good environment, dude. What were you going to say, Drew? Sorry.
No, he hit it right on that. No, I was agreeing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you guys have a really good environment on your team. Like I've spent time with you and your team, and it's you guys have good culture. Yeah,
thank you.
It was good. It was good.
I like to keep it real Hawaiian.
I think this is
real aloha.
Everybody you realize in this business too, it's like you start making lucrative businesses with like your friends. You know, we all share the same mindset. We have the same drive, so it's like naturally we start becoming friends more.
Yep.
And then naturally you start wanting to come into the office more. You don't think about not coming into the office. It's like you feel weird. Yeah, you feel weird for not going into the office, even though it's not mandatory. It's like, okay, if I'm not there, I'm not doing something right.
Okay, so you just hit something on the head, and this is where we're gonna go. Two or three more points, and then we'll wrap things up so that you guys can. I know you guys are busy today, so 2 or 3 more points. But one is the office.
Sorry, we're on the phone because we're handling deals. I'm sorry.
We're not deliberately. My bad. We got like 3-4 reps at appointments right now, so we're trying to.
Okay,
good problem to have.
You're good. Yeah. This is good. Yeah, no, take it. Do what you need. Okay. Do what you need. Do what you need. So. Nick, I'll ask you since you're the only one paying attention right now.
It's fine. It's usually what it is. Anyway.
I love it.
It's usually what it is anyway.
If you guys don't know, I talk a lot of trash, so if you hear it being thrown at me, it's because I've asked for it.
It's true. I'm glad you can own up to that. Importance of the office. So something that I found is some partners, right, where distance from the office or not having a big team yet, or things that like these excuses that hold them back from spending time at the office and doing team meetings and doing things. What role has the office played in your guys' growth?
So huge. I'll be completely honest. We tried to go away from what we knew worked and like, okay, we can spend more time in the field and not do the office. The hardest thing, and you told us this too, it's like the hardest thing for you to do is go from your bed into the mindset of doing that. It's like you never saw Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Tom Brady. They don't go right from bed right into the game.
No.
Like they're not showing up on a helicopter right before the game starts. Like they're getting warmed up. So I think regardless of what you do in the office, getting there and getting juices flowing, whether it's role playing, whatever it is, it seemed most people would be like, oh, well, it's a waste of time, whatever it is. It's not a waste of time. Yes, you're not necessarily paying somebody for them to be there, but the money that they're going to make, if you make it valuable enough.
It's value. You have to bring value.
You have to bring value in that. It's just based off another sales guy like following Brad Lee, but it's like you have to have good content. You have to have something. It's like people want to have to come into the office every day because if not, if you have an office where it's like, okay, yeah, why am I here? No one's going to want to come in.
Yeah.
Like if you're not bringing content and actually bringing value to them every single day, no one's going to want to come into the office. But personally, I think our biggest pride is that like people miss not being in the office with us. Like if we were to schedule, say, Thursday, Friday, we're not going to be there. We have our guys texting us like, hey, like, why don't we have the office? You know, what's going on? Because they see the benefit.
They love it.
Because they've experienced it. They've seen what happens when you don't have the office, and it's like you're on your own. As much as people don't want to have that, it was a hard thing for us to get into that ownership role of not having somebody breathing down our back 24/7.
So here's a question then, and Drew, I'm going to direct this at you now that you're finally listening.
It's getting a little dark in here now, a little shady, huh?
No, Nick and I are still here.
Hit the deck.
You guys have Joe down there?
No, he's hitting the deck.
No,
Shots
fired.
fired. Bombs are being
fired.
dropped. Yeah, earthquake.
No, talk shit.
No. So one thing that I was going to say was, man, you lost my whole train of thought.
He does that a lot.
One thing you're going to say.
It's kind of weird when he does that.
Dude,
right? Imagine being in the front of a sales meeting doing that, and he does that, and you absolutely miss everything.
Okay, so this is
what I do in sales.
Yeah. It's like the window.
Well, you just let them forget. You let them forget about what you're talking about. You bring it to them, and they're like, "Oh, what were we talking about? Oh, solar, right? Yeah, here's something for it."
Yeah. Okay, so here you brought it back sales meeting.
Yeah.
So I've talked to some partners and sales managers, and they struggle to feel like they know enough to hold sales meetings frequently, right? Because that can be kind of a burden when they think about it. When they're like, "Crap, if I have guys meeting in the office 4 days a week, 3 days a week, that means I have to have content for 3 days a week, 4 days a week."
Yeah.
What has that been like for you guys? And did you ever experience that, first off?
Not having content?
Not having content and kind of feeling like, well, now I have to come up with content.
I feel like if you don't have content, then you're not on this enough, because like Google, LinkedIn, YouTube, they give you way more than enough content. So even just off of a book, I think we were reading Leadership by John Maxwell.
So you guys are reading right now?
Huh?
You guys are reading that right now?
We finished it a while ago. But off the first chapter, there's 8, maybe 9, 10 different meetings you can
just
run
on
so
leadership.
if you want to find content, you're gonna find content. So I think for them it's just.
Dude, I was told a quote recently, a gentleman that said, when you study to teach, it's 10 times more effective than when you study to learn. Yeah. Right? That it's like when you're literally going in, and that's my argument to people. I guess not argument, but it's my pointer that it's like, look, if you're looking to start having meetings on a frequent basis, don't be afraid of that. Embrace it, because it's simple. It's like now when you go study, you're studying with a purpose rather than just studying to see what comes out of that book, right?
Yeah.
Studying leadership, you're not studying it just for your own sake. You're studying it because you're like, dude, I got meetings to run.
Yeah.
And now you start to get creative with oh, that's a sweet point, and here's a meeting that can go with it.
Yeah. We have to have at least maybe 8 notebooks full of just meetings.
Notebooks full of meetings, but it's also too it's experience. A lot of times you can make your own meeting based off what they're going through, and we use numbers for everything. Numbers don't lie, so we track literally everything to the contacts that come to the doors, to the decision makers, to close attempts. It tells us where you're weak. If you don't get a lot of close attempts, your C factors are probably terrible. But it's the other thing behind that for training wise too. It's especially coming into the office 5 days a week. If you personally have a guy that doesn't want to do that because they don't want to train, it's like, do you really want that person on your team?
I understand.
So it just depends on what you're looking for out of your guys. But I think the other thing too that people don't really understand about training is that training doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Never stops, ever. No matter what, until you retire, but you're not retired yet. I don't think anyone's there. So it's like people shouldn't be afraid to do that, because at the end of the day, yes, we're a commission-based job or whatever it is, whatever thing you're doing, but you're always going to have to train. If you don't use it, you lose it.
I think I would, in what you were saying of do you really want that guy on your team? I think people don't know what they don't know. And so it's when you haven't been in that position to know that you can study and develop a 45-minute meeting off of a chapter from a book, that's happened tons of times where you're just you're reading something and you're like, whoa. And the juice starts flowing, and you're like, you're like, whoa, and then you're taking out, and then all of a sudden, as you're going throughout your day and you're thinking about that, I recently read an article about how cardio enhances your creativity. So I've been implementing that it's when I get stumped on something or I'm trying to develop a meeting, like what we just ran, I put cardio into action. This morning I was doing cardio and thinking about that at the same time to help that creativity, and it works. It's cool. You should try it. You should really try it.
Oh, me specifically, huh? Glad you guys can see from up here, right?
But I think training in the but training in the office, it's crucial, because it's very crucial. Some type of training, whether it's in the office, whether it's going out with your guys and getting live training, specifically training, making sure that you get it. Because at the end of the day, it's for us to grow. We don't want to get complacent with just doing a few deals a month. We want everyone to grow. Yeah. And I think everyone can attest, whether it's sales, partnership, you get real complacent. No matter how much money you make, you have this weird feeling when you're not growing. So it's like you just have this thing in the back of your mind, your unconscious mind, where it's like, okay, dude, what's going on? Like you think you should be happy, and it's like, okay, we're not growing. Why not? We're not training enough.
And Nick or Drew, you hit it on the head earlier. You're like, dude, naturally we're lazy. Like that's natural. The natural man is lazy, and so you got to kick that. The natural man wants to get complacent, but it never is what fulfills us.
Well, think about Jordan. He won a ring, and the first thing he did after he ran the wing was go ring. Won the ring was go right back into practice because he understands training doesn't stop just because I did this. Yeah. Just because I went out and got 4 deals last week doesn't mean that I can be okay because my goal is to get better.
Yeah.
Or even if I want to maintain that same thing, I still got to train. It's just like in the gym. If I get to a certain size, say I'm 240, I get to your size. For me to stay that size, I got to go back into the gym. I can't just like sit there. God forbid that ever comes out. That's great because I'm just going to get as big as hell and just.
Dude, it becomes a new floor, and now you got to go hit the ceiling, right?
Yeah,
it's like, you hit a mark, and you're like, okay, now that's the floor. Now let's go hit the ceiling. Hit the ceiling. Now that's the floor. Let's go hit the ceiling.
Yeah, granted, this is a little bit of money, but even down to your whole financial life. Like, we were watching, who was it we were watching? Can't remember the guy's name. Value Entertainment, that's his YouTube. But anyways, Patrick McDavid,
dude,
thank you.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we were watching him, and he talks about money like, you think you make a lot, but really you're like at the bottom 1% of the next tier.
Yep.
And then so it's like it's the same thing with content and knowledge. Like you think you know a lot, you may be the smartest person in the room. Now you gotta go to the next room. Okay, now you're at the bottom, and now you gotta relearn again.
You're segueing into the perfect.
But they have to be interested into getting to that next room because if they're okay with being in the room, you can't want it more than they do.
Yeah. Well, that's so. Okay, so this is the point that like I want to close on is this with money. One thing that I have found, we've all seen this that's led any teams. And you might be dealing with this right now. Is reps who come on board who haven't been used to making the type of money that you can make in this industry.
It's a touchy subject for
and
me.
As they begin to make that money, right? So like a brand new rep, right?
Yeah.
Comes from making, this is a normal story, right? Comes from making $40,000 a year, type of position where he's hourly wage. He comes on board and realizes, whoa, I just made, $2,000, $3,000, whatever the deal is, right?
Yeah.
Off of a single deal. And he starts doing this math, and then he closes 3, 4, 5 deals in 1 month, and he's like, I just made what I normally make in 9 months in 1 month.
Yeah.
And then they get complacent.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you guys keep them from doing that for one, and how do you help them see the vision of making more?
It's growth. It's not. I think it's what we've realized is that people more money. We can throw money around all we want, but at the end of the day, it's going to take more effort to get more money. For what we implement, and the reason why you want to keep pushing forward, and the reason why you want to keep improving is because there's other opportunities that show down the road, but it doesn't for people that are complacent. It doesn't show for those guys. Yeah. If you're okay with 4 or 5 deals a month, that's fine, but you're going to be a sales rep forever, and that's just I think in sales in general. You have the guys that you said earlier. It's like you start in sales, and the guys that turn out to be like the really good ones. They want more from themselves regardless of from the beginning of it. Those are the guys that turn out better, and it's like the guys that are coming from a situation like you said, from like $40,000 a year, then they make that in like a month.
They're like, whoa.
And it's going to take them either some catastrophic event for them to finally wake up and do it, or they're going to see the opportunity that's bigger. And I think you can't necessarily control that. You can do everything you can to do the right way, but it just comes with the guys that you get into your room. And it's harder because naturally I think I've been through it. I made just under $100,000 my first year in solar, and that wasn't even working the full year. And it was like, holy crap! But then I started running out of money. And then it was like I started looking at my bank account, and I'm like, okay, it's great. My first big paycheck, I went to the mall, bought everything. Both of us did. We were looking at price tag. We were just like pulling stuff off the racks. I swear,
they're walking out with bags.
I had every color of Vans. No, we had every color of Vans. Our whole car was packed with shopping bags. Like we were like, oh my god, it's great. And then we looked at our bank account, and we're like, oh crap, it's all gone.
We had people
we'll go do it again
next week. We're like,
they
the $1 billion bad boys. Like it was wild, but.
That was the beginning, but then you start realizing
you learn from it.
You learn, and that's the thing though. It's eventually you're gonna learn from it. If you don't have the want to get more from the beginning, eventually something's gonna take to where you learn it. Whether it's you losing the money and being like, "Oh crap, I had that, now it's gone," or it's you seeing somebody else in front of you like, "Okay, 40,000 is great," but then when you look around and you have a room full of people that are looking to grow, and that's just where the growth environment comes from. You look at the guy that's up top, 40,000 is great, but damn, that dude made 3 times what I made.
Yeah.
Like. You see it, you visualize, and you look around. It's like, dude, there's no reason why. If we're doing the same things, there's no reason why I can't do that. It's just, do I want it bad enough?
Yeah. Well, I think with money too, it all depends too on how you. The picture you paint is the only picture they're gonna see. So if you paint the picture of like making $100,000 in this job is outrageously good, then your reps are only going to hold themselves to the standards of like $100,000 is outrageously good. If you paint the picture of $1 million, then it's $1 million. So it really all boils down to the picture. They don't know how much to expect. So like you made like 40 grand. That's great. But at the end of it, 40 grand, what is that to Bill Gates? You know what I mean? 40 grand is nothing to Bill Gates. So that's the standard we should be shooting for, rather than like, this is more money that I made in the past, but you're not the richest man alive.
And I think that's what we look for in the hiring process. Like, people that want to work, people that want to get going, this is a job where your paycheck shows you how hard you work. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's really up to you. The guys that get complacent doing that, those are the guys that, like we talked about before, get on the bottom of the list, and it turns out where if someone gets complacent doing that, don't get me wrong, that's fine, but there's probably other companies you can make that for that it doesn't work for us. You know, we don't. And I think you guys share the same vision with Helix. I'm like, you guys want to grow. We want to be in every single state. So it's like, if we get people that are complacent, for new guys coming in, for everyone else, we can't have complacency, because it starts from the top down, and most guys that are complacent are usually at the bottom of the list.
It starts from the top down is exactly right. So like, as partners, where like you're in a different situation, right? Like I always tell guys, it's like, dude, don't look at the whole picture of like what you're going to make on a commission. Rex and I were talking about this the other day. I taught my teams all the time, don't look at the full commission as what you just made on that. Why don't we focus on the front end? What if you convinced yourself that all you were making on that deal was the front end? That's it. And now your whole mentality, your work ethic, everything can change, because you're going, I'm making X amount of dollars in the front, and selling 5 deals a month is not going to be where I want to be. Now I got to go sell 15, right? So it's like, I got to up my game. I got to get to where I need to be. And then all of a sudden the back end checks start flowing in, and it's icing on the cake, right? But like that was something we took, was just, if we can teach our guys how to not compartmentalize that thought, but just like thinking of our commissions differently, that it's like, it's not all about the money. You got to have them buy into something bigger than what we're about.
So what's going to keep you going when you get those 45 no's? You know, at the end of the day, and that's what I think a big thing too is like, what's your why? You know, I think your why justifies how much money you're going to have to make. Most people's why is, I want to buy my mom a house, I want to buy my mom a car, I do all this other stuff. But it's like, okay, think about how much money you really need.
What's that going to take?
What's that going to take? What's the price tag for you to be like, okay, I need to do that, and what else? Because after you buy your mom a house, like, you're just going to stop.
Do you remember us having that conversation?
No.
I could tell you your why right now. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
You remember us having that conversation?
Yeah,
like,
so I remember the why. Yeah,
and it was like, well, what's that going to take? Like, well, how much is that going to cost? Like, what's that going to... And like, dude, it's freaking crazy. Yeah, man.
But yeah, so it's really, I think the first thing is, we can't want it more from them. I think from the partner standpoint, no matter who you recruit, no matter what you do, you can't want it more than they do. And I think that's what we started coming to realize. But it's understanding what they want, and it's like, okay, is that really what you want, or do you want more from yourself? Because the most people, when you ask them what they want, they're going to be like, oh, I want like this basic stuff, right? Like,
want my bills paid, and a couple bucks
paid. I want to be able to do this and do that.
You heard that one before?
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
That'll probably happen a year, couple. You do this right, that'll probably happen in a few months. But what after that? Like, dude, 10 years from now, where do you want to look back and see yourself? And I know it's kind of far, but like,
it's realistic.
It's like, this is where we're going to be able to capitalize on that, so don't miss out on that opportunity.
I love it.
But I think it's based off them. We can't want more for them. I can't want you to make $200,000 if you personally only want to make 40. If 40 is okay for you and that's your contentness, that's fine. And just personally, from me and Drew's standpoint, it doesn't have to be from anybody else. But if you're content with that, you're not going to fit in with us.
This is a good spot.
Not gonna. You're not going to fit
this
in with
industry's
us.
Not. Yeah, the industry's not for that.
There's other companies that probably are okay with that, but I know you guys at Helios, and I know us personally, we're not cool with that.
You know? I'm not a fan of monetized wise, but that's just me.
You say what?
I say I'm not a fan of like monetized wise, where they're like, oh, I want to buy my mom a car. Like, that's what dreams. Like, at the end of the day, I mean, the money's only going to get you as far as you let it. And I feel like with monetized wise, where it's like, oh, I want to, buy a house for my family. I want to buy my mom's house. Like that, to me, that why is not going to get you that far. Because like you said, once it happens, then what? You know what I mean?
Well, it's like, why do you want to buy your mom's house? Oh, well, she's taking care of me and stuff like that. It's okay. What's the motive behind buying
What's the reason behind it?
Yeah, well,
what's your guys' whys? What's your why?
Personally, for me, I want to be financially stable. I've seen both of my parents struggle for a very long time. I want to be financially stable to where I can support myself, but also use my time to help other people. Mainly retire my dad, and that was one of the first things that I used to talk about, because that was like the big, easy one. But just like we just talked about now, I had to readjust it because it wasn't big enough. For the amount of money I need to retire my dad, I want to make more than that.
Of course.
I'm financially free. It's a lot more than what I said before, so there's other things that come into it. But
I think there's short-term and long-term whys, though. I really do. I really feel like those short-term whys are great.
Short-term is 100% retire my dad.
Yep.
He's 65 years old, working construction back home, no retirement plan, took care of us. My mom's not here anymore, so every day that I don't retire him, he's busting his butt, and has no plan. So he has to work, and he's paying $1,800 a month in rent, which I'm helping him out with. So it's that's what keeps me going every day, because I know that if I'm not working, he's working somewhere. So it's like, if he's working, I should be working.
Yeah.
Until he's not working, I'm going to keep working.
What about you, Drew? What's your why?
Oh man, I don't want to get too deep. So my why is people that know me know I just had a kid. He's 3 months out. 3 months
Dude,
old.
He's cute, man. He's
a funny little man. Shout out to Hendrix Reeves. You know, if you guys ever meet him and this goes somewhere and this blows up, put that man on.
You'll see him on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
That's his why. That was Drew's why.
There you go. Good morning.
We just fulfilled it. He wanted to say Good Morning America.
It's my short term why. No, but if you guys know me, I mean, I grew up without a mom, half a dad. So my why is just, I want financial stability, but time. I think that's the main thing. Never really spent time with my dad, never spent time with my mom. So for me, is my why is I just want to open up time for me, for him. You know, even if I have more kids as well, I want to have time for them.
Can't do that with a 9 to 5.
Yeah, so it's the whole 9 to 5 and all that. Like, it just doesn't. That's
cool, man.
You know what I mean? That's why I turned down professional sports, I guess you could say, baseball specifically.
Yeah, that's why.
And the NBA.
And then, well, I'm too short for that. But baseball, I was a killer.
No, he just didn't want to go to an all-boys Catholic.
That too.
It's fine.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, it's just
cool.
time. You know, money you can make. I could tell everybody there's a billion ways to make $1 billion. You just gotta pick one. But for me, it's that you can make the money, but you can't make the time.
Everybody wants to make a lot of money, but what are you going to do with it once you get it?
Yeah. So me,
you talk about those 10,000 hours, man. It's like, that's why right now is so important, because who knows what tomorrow's going to hold. And every day that you delay that why is a day that you're having to delay to be with your son. Yeah. Right? That time to spend with him. So
exactly.
That's cool. Well, guys, anything else you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
No.
The Good Night America.
Yeah. So
I'm waiting for him.
Let's do the Good Night America.
Well, to all that is watching, I hope you have a wonderful night, a wonderful evening. May sales be ever in your favor. This is Drew Reeves, my partner Nicholas Keeney, your greatest, your latest host of all time, Mr. Trevor. Yeah.
Go, sir.
Hey, y'all have a good night. Tune in to the next Partner Power. You know what I mean. Tune in next time.
The Triple P.